Hey y'all, Moses here. Today I want to talk about engagements and the mentality/strategy of choosing your battles and how those decisions can affect the outcome of any given round. I want to accomplish a few things with this video. I want to illustrate some examples of engagements sampled from various parts of the early and late game. I also want to talk about my personal approach to engagements and how my decision making unfolds. Finally, I want to show you the best way to dissect your own decisions and how to improve your game through review. As always, these videos are entirely subjective, and you will definitely witness mistakes I make. As with any other path to improvement, there will always be opportunities to learn, and not everything I cover will match up with how you personally play the game. And that's okay. Battlegrounds is best learned by playing, but hopefully you can find some useful information here. So with that said, let's get started. The first thing we must consider when deciding to engage the enemy is the stage of the game. In the early game, engagements are important to secure a looting area, so my preferred method is to gain loot superiority, which is to say, get the best gun possible and kill everyone close by before they have the opportunity to arm themselves. This can range in difficulty depending on your spawn location. For example, clearing out the military base requires a tremendous amount of caution, as the likelihood of enemies having good loot is increased due to the abundance of quality gear. If you land in a less lucrative area, you are somewhat at the mercy of RNG. If landing in a small complex, you may choose the house with a pistol, whereas the enemy picks up a shotgun. All isn't lost, but your chances of survival diminish. Regardless of your loot area or gear, the early game calls for aggression. It is best to clear out your loot area and eliminate enemy players, as that will increase your chances of survival. Every time the player count shrinks, your chances of winning increase. In summary, an aggressive approach in the early game can get you equipped faster, increases your chances of survival, and if all else fails, your time investment in the round is minimal if things don't go your way. Far more upside than down. I consider the mid-game to begin when there are 50 or so players remaining, or around the time the third safe zone is revealed. The mid-game approach depends on your personal playstyle. If you're attempting to play for the end game and are avoiding conflict, then this part of the guide may not apply to you. However, if you are looking to increase your kill count or hone an aggressive style, then there are a few things to consider. The first is charting your path and understanding weaknesses or barriers to the end game. Consider the fact that the best source of loot is a dead player, and to increase your chances of survival, you must seek to have a complete set of gear, including attachments and medical supplies, that will last you through the end of the game. You don't want to be under-geared or undersupplied in the late game, as looting becomes extremely dangerous as these circles progress. So, unless you are completely geared from the early game, you may be compelled to seek out further engagements. My approach is to set intermediate goals for movement, utilizing the map marker by right-clicking on the map to set myself a waypoint. There does not need to be a significant distance to set a marker. It could be the next house, the next tree, or the next large town. Engagement decision-making should synchronize with your overall plan. If you're looking to take up an advantageous position at the edge of the safe zone, you must assume that someone else might have already had that idea. So, approach with caution, and if you determine that you can safely clear the area, then do so. That information is simple, but let's review an example of when someone has the complete advantage in positioning. What should you do? Consider the circumstances and try to anticipate what the player must do to survive. Perhaps the circle is going to force him to leave his position, and his avenues of escape may be limited. Here we can see that a player has perched himself on a high tower with excellent vision to where I am. If I leave my cover, he will be able to put accurate fire on me. However, there is only one safe way for him to leave his position, and that's down the stairs of the tower. Otherwise, he will have to jump. I can see that the circle is going to force him to move, so to secure the kill, all I need to do is wait for him to put himself on the stairs. This player comprehends his position far too late and has to act in desperation, ultimately succumbing to the circle. Things to note in this example. I had plenty of medical supplies and the advantage that the player would have to come towards me to get to the safe zone. I want to talk briefly about information gathering. When I say that, I am referring to visual and audio information provided by other players. Information can come in the form of gunfire, enemy movement, vehicle movement, and crate drops. As the game progresses from early to late game, information gathering becomes extremely important. Take note of gunfire and messages in the kill feed. If you're in a late game scenario and you see or hear a death from a sniper rifle, you should consider limiting movement in open areas and staying still for too long. However, you may be able to pressure a sniper with an SMG or shotgun, knowing that their loadout may not be able to handle an engagement in close quarters. This consideration should also apply to you. If you anticipate the final circle will be in a close quarters environment, you may want to consider ditching your sniper rifle if you have one. So, how does information gathering apply to engagements? Let's review an example of a late game scenario. I have positioned myself near the edge of the safe zone, and based on gunfire to my left and front, as well as the kill feed, I know the locations of at least 2 players. So, I am constantly scanning these 2 directions as I know that will likely be the angle of approach of these 2 players moving into the safe zone. Again, I consider the mentality of my enemy. I estimate that the player to my front will be wary of the gunfire and will be looking for players in that direction. I use his behavior and anticipated approach to my advantage and surprise him. Immediately, I adjust my positioning to avoid the unseen enemy from attacking me from where I last heard him. This is a behavior that is important. If you've just killed an enemy from an area that is likely clear, adjust your cover to protect yourself from the angle that is less secure. I want to quickly touch on when it is best to disengage or be passive. Let's review this late game scenario where I'm having a battle with someone at an adjacent tree. I don't have an advantage because this person has a sniper rifle. So, consider that the circle is going to force us to move to get to the safe zone, and we have a large open field to our rear and left. This leads me to believe that not only is this player going to move, but they are going to move uphill and into the trees. An additional quirk is added when I start receiving fire from another player, which drastically reduces my chance for survival. However, my patience in waiting for the circle to move has now forced the sniper to leave his position and head uphill, where he briefly pauses and eliminates the enemy that was firing upon me, effectively bailing me out of a nearly guaranteed death. This is a pretty rare scenario, but it proves that sometimes being passive can be the best option. For our last example, I'd like to walk you through the very end of a game. This scenario is the culmination of all my previous points. I've identified the locations of all remaining enemies through both visual and audio information. I've cleared out my position and am fully equipped due to killing other players up to this stage. Now, I just need to let the game play out and react as best I can. I know that one remaining enemy is near the warehouse building, as he has recently killed an enemy there. I know that a player with an SKS is ahead of me near the clearing, as I've just spotted him moving. I haven't made any noise, so as far as I know, none of the other players are aware of my position and cannot see me without coming directly into my, or each other's, immediate field of view. I move to attack the player near the clearing, but because I am unable to immediately locate him, retreat further back to a better position. The circle is about to advance, and I recognize that the player near the warehouse is going to move. Understanding the positions of the 2 players, I know that they are going to have to engage each other and that my movement will be concealed. The 2 players engage, and then it's a 1v1 scenario where I have the advantage. I engage the remaining player, temporarily forgetting that my AKM is on automatic, but close out the kill and the round. Where is he? Regardless of outcome, it is extremely beneficial to review your own decision making. I personally use Shadowplay to both record my gameplay for YouTube and also to review my mistakes and successes to better understand what went right and what went wrong with whatever round I'm examining. I believe this is key to improving your own style of play, because instead of watching others, you can learn from your own style and improve upon it. There are many programs out there, but to me, this is the first step in increasing your overall effectiveness. Understand your style and improve upon your decisions. Finally, it is important to recognize that every scenario is unique and to react accordingly to the best of your ability. Success will only come with repetition and understanding. Failure is a part of that process. I've decided to start annotating and uploading commentary videos of notable rounds to help guide those who are interested in this method. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I hope it was helpful for you. If it was, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for more content like this in the future. Of course, you can visit me on Twitch at twitch.tv/wtfmoses, and I have recently started streaming to YouTube as well. I also enjoy reading your comments, so if you have feedback for me in the way of suggestions, stories, or to tell me which loot I missed and why I'm terrible, please head down below and leave a note. Thank you for watching, and until next time, I'll see you out there. I'm gonna go with the Vector. It's got us this far.